one reason I'm excited about your campaign is that so many people around me, I'm sure around anyone listening to this, despair. They think, hey, why don't we have better choices? Why aren't better people running? Why am I so not excited, folks?
Right.
And I think people should get excited about you, Shalane, because even from our brief conversation, people are absorbing, wait a minute, this is like a true patriot, a true leader, someone who actually has stepped into difficult situations over and over again. And now she's running for Congress as an independent, which, by the way, takes something that's already quite difficult and then adds another layer of difficulty, as people know. We'll talk about your race in your
No.
district. But talk to us about that decision, because as someone who's run for office, I know it's a big one.
It is. Maybe I'm just a glutton for punishment or hard things. No, 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 no. I think exactly what you said. I love this great country. I do. I'm so proud to have served it. And there's people that I have spent times of my life with that have given their life for this country. And the preservation of this country's ideals, what it stands for, is not a game. It's not. I'm deeply disturbed with the trajectory of where we're going. And you hear this a lot, but I think it's very true, a crisis of leadership.
Yep.
And there is.
By the way,
And
I just want to have a quick digression. There's so many Democrats that criticized Republicans for trashing Trump in private and then swearing allegiance in public. And we're seeing the same thing now with President Biden. Like, everyone knows he's too old and needs to step aside. And then you have a bare handful of people saying it in public, and the rest being like, well, like, what are we going to do? It's a real absence of leadership.
there is, and there's a lack of courage to do what's right. And a lot of people in these positions of power know what the right thing
Yeah.
is to do, but they're not, out of fear for, losing their job. And we've seen that. People that have spoken up what I think is the truth end up getting primaried or just chastised. There's a real cost, but we need to get over it and overcome it. And we need to have more voices unapologetically speak out for what is right and not falling in line. And so that's my big thing. And that's why, Andrew, when I was thinking about running, in good faith, I said, I don't agree with the way that the two parties what has happened to our country right now. You have a majority of Americans that are identifying as politically independent, me being one of them.
Yeah. By
Where's
the way,
my
I think
choice?
most military veterans at this point are independent.
Yes. Yes. And so I said, I know this is like the hardest road I could take, but it's the right road. And I have to trust that there will be rewards for this. Not for me selfishly. This isn't a selfish endeavor. Trust me, I'm giving up a lot of time, money, treasures to do this. But it's for our country and for the betterment of our future. And I can't tell you how many people, regular folks, are so refreshed and inspired by this. And so we're onto something. We really are. And I also like to say one of my superpowers is I am very comfortable being a nonconformist. I entered the military in college, for example. I was in a sorority, I was doing a minor in women's studies, and I was in ROTC. The only thing in that triple Venn diagram that overlaps is me, Shalane Etchison. So, so I was very comfortable being, I guess, somewhat of maybe an outsider a bit in the military, and I'm very proud to maybe be, I guess you can say, an outsider in the political arena, but I'm
Sure.
not. I actually think I'm working to represent the majority of Americans that do not feel they're being adequately represented.
So let's imagine that you were in Congress. We get rid of this guy, this cycle and next cycle, and you're in there. And then somehow you magically had a 50-50 Congress, and you were the person right in the middle. And then someone said, okay, Shalane, what do you want us to do? What are your top hopes and priorities in Congress?
Well, there's, I think, foremost, and again, I know you're such a champion of electoral reform.
Yep.
And the more I invest my time in politics, it really, really does come down to that. And so that's one of the first things that I say when I talk to folks. I said, listen, if there were certain electoral reforms right now, like I wouldn't even have to run as an independent. I could run as a moderate Democrat, moderate Republican that could probably appeal to the majority of voters, and we can get stuff done. So my wish list, first and foremost, and this is so sensitive with North Carolina, there is federal legislation that has been drafted to make sure that congressional district races are drawn by independent redistricting commissions.
Yep.
And I think that would right a lot of wrongs, not just for my state in North Carolina, but across our country, and can be a really great first step to getting to, like, talk about bringing back some of the incentives, because right now with the map manipulations,
doesn't matter. Most people don't matter.
They don't have to do their job because they know they're protected and they'll win again. My goodness, if you don't do your job, you should get fired. Taking words out of Donald Trump, you're fired. And so let's bring that consequence back with having fair and competitive elections. So anyway, I would love to be in a position to have that bargaining power to say, hey, we need to make sure that this can get on the floor. So yeah, and that's an interesting thing where a lot of people ask, like, Shalane, well, who would you caucus with? And there's two questions that are trick questions that are actually like, but are you really a Democrat or Republican? That's like, people want to know that. And the two questions are, who are you voting for president, Biden or Trump? And then who would you caucus with? And I like to tell people with the caucus question, like, really, there's no blueprint for a bona fide independent getting elected. The independents that we see in the Senate all started with a party before,
Sure.
Okay, and that's who they caucus with.
Yep.
And then I think the beauty of actually being a real independent is you're a swing vote, okay? And you're looking at what is the environment, what's the kind of best research and data say that's going to be the proper policy application to the problems that we are trying to solve, and who is bringing the best solutions to the table to this particular issue. Well, that's who I'll be voting with then for that. And it really does. I think that would be very, very powerful position should I get elected with such slim margins.
Well, it certainly would be leadership again, and nonconformity. It's a dream of mine that they have to build a third chamber. Though I think the way they divide the chambers is actually toxic and noxious. A generation ago, these people used to hang out across party lines and have real relationships and get stuff done together. And now the party leaders literally try and cordon you off. Be like, oh, can't talk to them. Can't even be in the same room as them. It's kind of nuts.
It's, when you talk about leadership, what example is that setting for the rest of our country?
Yep.
I'm dead serious. We've all been in organizations where leadership really does matter. The type of leader sets the tenor, the culture, and the actions of organizations. And I think we're seeing that trickle down into our country right now with our political leaders and the way they're behaving. And so, the fact that you've got families that can't even have Thanksgiving dinner together anymore because of political identity.
Yeah.
It's a sad state of affairs. And so I 100% hold our leaders accountable when they exhibit that type of behavior, especially on the public stage. It's not good, it's toxic, and they gotta go.
Hey YouTube, thanks for watching. Please do hit like and subscribe, and hit that bell if you want to be notified every time a new episode drops. Thank you.